Good morning.
Oh, good morning.
We're
So,
glitchy on Bethany's. Oh, I just lost a shoulder. Uh, we're trying out this new background, which is super awesome. Bethany created it. However, it's not. I think it's still in beta. What do you think?
I think so. I mean, pieces of me are currently disappearing, like,
Okay. Yep.
top of
Beth.
my head. So, I might just sit here like this and not have a hand, or I can just not have a head. So, I guess it's fine. We're just trying to look professional. That's all. We're just trying to drink coffee and talk about things. So,
We're starting a new trend. Have a bald spot right in front of your head.
this is me being frustrated, just so you guys know. It's fine. It's fine. And every once in a while, my teeth disappear too. So there's that. Just some things to let you know that might happen. Um,
So,
that's just where we're at. So,
yeah. What are you drinking today?
well, let me get it off the floor and have half my head disappear.
Hey, you saved that. Oh well, no, you lost
I'm
it.
not bitter. So I'm drinking the lovely Kirkland brand coffee with some Stevens hot cocoa mixed in and some creamer
Made a little mocha.
in in my Idaho mug because I think I really am an Idahoan. I was born there. My family's from there. I just never happened to live there. So it's always been an identity issue for me. But I love Idaho. Idaho's fun. Camping in the Sawtooth is one of my favorite things ever. So,
Like shadow. Is it shadow? It's not. No, snake. I don't know. We used to go fishing on the Snake River all the time, though. We
oh,
got
nice.
fish out there. So
Hmm.
I like to go to Idaho for that. Swan Valley, that's what it is. I was thinking Snake Valley. No, Swan Valley is beautiful. Oh
Oh,
my
yeah,
god.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we've
Yeah,
gone.
my whole family is like from the Magic Valley, which is like what the snake winds through.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Um,
Yeah. We
yeah.
actually live right on the Snake River in Idaho Falls. It was.
Wow.
Yeah. It was beautiful. It
That's
was.
cool. Oh my gosh. I can't handle my face disappearing.
So I'm drinking. Oh. Early.
This is gonna be a fun episode.
Like it. I got I think it's Dolgana. I don't know how the hell to say it, but and then I sprinkled in a little cinnamon because I got a little fancy today. But I'm really digging it, and I love my frother because it just makes it. I was using a hand like mixer, and it was taking forever, but with the frother, it's like way faster. So
Nice.
I
Nice.
recommend use that instead.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So let's start out today by talking about we usually kind of talk about our week, but I think we should just dive right into the sort of hot topic that is
Big
happening
freaking money.
right now. Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about this wonderful fund that the government released for small businesses. Which
Yeah.
I think that we talked about this a few weeks ago, and I was like, yeah, small business means like 500 employees
Yeah.
because
Well,
the
yeah,
the little guys don't ever get that.
500
So,
under. I would love to see. I would love to see the breakdown of who it's really helped and who it's gone towards. Like,
yeah,
are you helping the 0 to 10 employees, the 20 to 30 employees? What is that breakdown, or is it all these like multi-million-dollar companies that
right.
that it's had? Because I have a few clients who have been funded, but they're multi-million-dollar companies. And then the
Hmm.
clients that I have that are smaller businesses, under $1 million, haven't seen any funding.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's just, you
I
know, my
feel like I feel like sometimes too it's about who you know. And those larger, more established corporations have more contacts, and so it really helps them to sort of sail on through the system where the smaller dudes don't always have that. So,
and you just
yeah.
you probably don't get priority either because you're not,
Hmm.
you don't have a lot of funds going through their bank, so or you don't use a lot of their products, so you're not getting a lot of that top.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not going to make as much money off of you, so why should they bother? Right?
Right.
I mean, it's really sad that kind of bias exists, but it's something that needs to be talked about. So
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I've been with the same bank for a long time, and I never really thought that you should have like a business banker and have like that relationship. But then I went to something for Moxie Blankets, and there were a bunch of bankers there, and they were talking about how your banker should be taking care of you and watching you scale and offering you new products when you scale and this, that, and the other. And my banker didn't do that. I talked to him one time when I set everything up, and then like that was it. I would go into deposit and stuff, but I would never talk to him. And so after I went to that, I went in and I was like, why don't we have a relationship? Like, I'm one of your clients. I know how I take care of my clients. Why don't you ever like just reach out, see how things are going? And after that conversation, he's been a lot better. And he's like, yeah, your revenue is high enough now where we need to upgrade your account. Because I was getting like these fees for having too many transactions, for depositing too many checks and this, that, and other, which, by the way, I think is totally stupid. Like, why are you going to charge me for putting more money in your bank?
right.
But anyway,
it's pretty lame. I probably should look into that because I've noticed more fees.
Yes.
Clearly, I don't have an established relationship with my banker. I have somebody I can reach out to, but
not somebody who's like, checking to see, how you're scaling and things. So that was right before all this Corona stuff hit. So I actually haven't upgraded the account yet, but I've been more aware of, if I don't have to, like, to try and avoid some of those fees, because they weren't small fees. They weren't like a couple bucks. They were like hefty. So he did reverse those monthly fees that I had been getting for the last several months. So that was cool of him. But
that's nice. Yeah, it's like, I feel like this is one of those things that needs to be in the small business handbook, which doesn't exist for anybody. I mean, there are corporations out there that are like, oh my gosh, yeah, we have all these resources, and there's this whole thing about starting your business. And I even went to college for business, and I still don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's a little bit crazy to think about that, I got an earful from like I think it was the tax commission a few months back, because I called and I was like, hey, so there's got to be a better way to know about these things, because I kept getting like late fees, and it's like this whole thing where I just didn't know that if we had an event, we had to pay a separate tax and then subtract that from our other sales tax that we already collect, and it's like this whole thing. So I'd been double paying for like 4 years. And when I called the lady, she got really short with me, and she was like, well, we have resources for you. There's a whole checklist, and we have educational blah, 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 blah. And I was like, but I'm a business owner. Like, I don't have time to go to your educational seminars. Like, just
freaking cliff notes.
Right. Send me a bullet point list. Let me know. And that's where it is, like I feel like I've learned so much that way. And I think that's why it's particularly hard for small business owners to really make it, because a lot of times we feel like we're just getting tamped down with like all these taxes and fees and licenses and all these things that we kind of get caught up in that. And then by the time we take a look around, we're like, I'm not making enough revenue. I got to shut down.
Yeah, it is so hard. And they have like, there's the SBA, and then there's the, what is it, SBIC or something like that. I forget that. So there are resources, but I feel like some of the people in those positions, they've never actually owned a business, and so they really don't know start to finish what it's like and what it truly takes, all the ins and outs. And it's so different because with Moxie Agency, for a service-based business, the taxes were completely different than a product-based business. So I had to go back and relearn everything tax-wise for Moxie Blankets, because and for like the sales tax and stuff, because I have to charge sales tax on every blanket that I sell. So that for me was like, what the world? And then and employee taxes as well.
Oh my gosh, so ridiculous.
you can go on their website and they have things, but it's not really understandable. Like the way that they write everything is not for like the typical entrepreneur business brain. It's written for somebody who already knows what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think I've honestly felt that at some point, like sometimes it feels like 50% of our revenue is going just to taxes and licensing. And then on top of that, if we make a profit, we get taxed another 20, 30%. So it's like at the end of that, like what's the point of really being here? You know? And I was talking to my mom about that the other day because my grandpa owned or he managed a business for like basically my entire life. And then he owned a few businesses too. And so it was just kind of, I always watched him, and I was telling my mom, I was like, well, you know, I've kind of just been working for free for a long time because I need employees. They come first. They got to get paid. I've got all these other taxes and I've got all these other expenses. And so I've just been kind of working for free. And she's like, sadly, that's really how it goes for business owners a lot of the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
when you're an entrepreneur, entrepreneurs eat last. They really, truly do. There's so many people that you have to take care of before that trickles down to you. You know, like for me, it's employees, but vendors too. Like I always, you know, my vendors always get paid before I see a penny, like without a doubt, you know. And they're, you know, I mean, I guess I could go and get, you know, credit with some of these vendors that I place, you know, thousands of dollars of orders with. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't ever want to be in a position where, you know, I don't ever place an order unless I have the money to do it, because I don't ever want to, you know, I mean, I know what it's
I know
like.
what you mean. Yeah.
You know, I don't ever want to pay an invoice 60, 90 days late, you know.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really
I'm actually working with a supplier right now where he's like, oh, you're one of those. Because I give him a check every week.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I'm happy to be one of those.
Absolutely.
I don't want to owe anybody shit.
No, I don't either. I hate feeling like I owe anybody anything, like money or a favor or you know, whatever the case may be. I don't ever want to be in debt to anybody.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, that's just it's crappy.
So I mean, yeah, this is basically like what the small business climate looks like right now. A lot of my friends who are small business owners are like, I applied, they told me I was approved, now we've run out of money.
Yeah.
And that's really kind of where it's at. And it's really disheartening to see that because we have all been doing the best we can to stay afloat, and it's very uncertain. And I think a lot of people are going to have to close down, and it's just really heartbreaking because
they're not going to be able to weather the storm.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that a lot of times it's easy to look at small business and be like, oh, you guys have so much freedom and you guys have all these things. And yeah, you've got money. And it's like, no, like we are in debt because we are building something that we believe in and we've invested money into it. And now we're closed.
Yeah. And it's a huge investment. You don't get that, you know. A lot of time people are like, oh, you know, your sales are up, you're making money. No, because I invested $60,000 up front. So like, you know, that first couple of years, unless I'm, you know, it's hard, you know, it is really, it's really, really challenging.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a special kind of crazy. And I love it. I really do. I love the thrill of the chase. I love, you know, every time I get a ding on my phone that I have an order come in, like it literally lights up my world.
Right? Like and we have the apps on our phone that go cha-ching and we're like, yay, I can pay the lease.
It really is. It is no lie when you see those memes that say every time, you know, you support a small business, they do a happy dance. Dude, that is super legit because you really like you really do just, and the gratitude that I feel towards people who, have purchased Moxie blankets to this point is just, I mean, tremendous, because this is such a, it's not just business for me. It's a passion, because I know how much they've helped me and my babies, that, I want them to help other people. So when they do make those buys, it's just like, it means the world to you. I mean, you get it, because yours is a passion project as well. So, anytime anybody puts their time, energy, or money behind you is huge.
Yeah. And I mean, I can honestly tell you, like, I don't know where we're going to be a few months from now. I mean, I'm planning on pushing forward, and I'm planning on keeping going, because I really have no other choice.
Right.
But it is something that we've discussed in the past few months. Like, what does this look like for us if we can't make it? How do we go about shutting this down, and how do we make those financial and keep those financial commitments? Because just because you close your business down doesn't mean the debt goes away,
No.
And you've got a default on your lease and like all these things. And so it's something that we continuously talk about, because one thing I've learned through owning a business and having such a supportive partner in Taylor is that we really have taken the steps to examine the worst case scenario, because otherwise I worry and I stress and I'm like, oh, I'm failing, and that's really what it comes down to, right? Like, if we fail, we take that as a personal failure. Like, we didn't do enough. Yep. I didn't do enough. I messed this up. I did this. And, I think that's really kind of a difference when you look between a woman business owner and a man business owner. And this is not to say that this is all across the board. That's how it always is. But there are some differences there, because the women take it as a personal failure. And a lot of times men just say, okay, well, yeah, that didn't work out, and they move on. And I think that's why a lot of women who get into business, if they fail, they don't continue on. And they kind of go back to, the daily grind and the 9 to 5. But we've been able to really take a look. He's so great at that with me. Like, okay, what's the worry? We're losing money. Okay. So what does that look like? Let's break it down. What's the worst thing that could happen? And it's really helpful to like look at those things, because then you're like, okay, yeah, worst case scenario, I default on the lease. I have this debt that I have to repay. I have to get a job.
Yeah.
It's really not that bad. I mean, it's not what I want, but it's definitely not that bad. It's not like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be this, like, everybody's just going to know me as the girl who failed. And, and maybe that's true. I know that there are people out there that probably want me to fail, but there are so many people that want me to succeed. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what they think. It's how I feel about the work that I did.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, I get that. And when I first started Moxie Blankets and things were going really, really well, I had a couple people who like made comments that I allowed those comments to shake me to my core, because these were people that I thought truly and genuinely had my back, and they, they said these things, and I was just like, what the hell? Like, where is this coming from? And it just comes down to, people always want you to do well, but they don't want them to do better than you.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks, because I just feel like, dude, if you're doing really well, then I can come to you for advice. If I know you and, we have a good relationship, yeah, I want you to do really well, because then I can come to you and be like, okay, this is my problem. I need you to walk me through it. I mean, I've done it with you on multiple occasions. I've called and been like, holy hell, this is what's going on. We need to talk through this. So of course I want you to do well, because then I can learn from either your mistakes or your successes. So I don't necessarily get that mentality, but it's definitely out there. I mean, I want people who are wildly successful around me, because I can learn from them.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. That's been an interesting, and I think that, no matter what field you're in, if you do work a 9 to 5, or if you are an entrepreneur, if you own a business, or if you're a stay-at-home mom, it's all the same. You've got people out there that want you to succeed, and you've got people that want you to fail. But at the end of the day, what matters is how you feel about the work that you did. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
And that's
think,
really, I mean, I think you hit it right on the head with that last statement. Oh hell, sorry, that's ignore
you're
that.
good.
That you do. I mean that in itself was such a powerful statement. So if anybody can take anything from this episode, that's what you need to take with you.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And yeah, I think on that note, we should wrap things up. So thank you so much for joining us today. Me and my crazy face. Yeah. Mm.
You got a little something in your teeth.
So fun. Anyway, don't forget to caffeinate and hydrate. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time.